I cannot believe what I am witnessing. The Islanders have completed their 7-game road trip with a 5-0 win over the Detroit Red Wings. Their final result of the road trip was they won 6 of 7 games, and now they're coming home for a homestand with a ton of momentum and a new outlook on the season, because I think the Islanders are seriously surpassing expectations for this season, and based on the way they're doing it, this is something that I don't think it's a fluke where they had just a good road trip. This is something I think can be sustainable, and it's really changing my outlook for this team this season and what they can potentially do, which is really exciting. And I think the biggest thing for me is what happens in Detroit, as it was not the veterans of this team leading the way, it was the young kids, which is exactly what you want to see, and that's what tells me this is more than just a good stretch of hockey, because we've seen good stretches of hockey in the past with the Islanders, but right here, the way you win, especially this season, the way the Islanders win games matter, and that last game was won by the rookies doing their thing. We're going to really focus on Calum Ritchie. He had his best game in the NHL so far. Max Shabanov finally came out and really showed what I think he is. I think for the first few games, he was trying to figure out the NHL, then he got injured, then he came back trying to feel himself again. This is what I was hoping for when the Islanders picked up Shabanov, and the fact that he did it against a team in the Red Wings that is supposed to be pretty good is very exciting. And for the first time this season, I'm going to take a real close look at the standings. We've had some fun with it. It is still very early, and it's important to note how early it is and how close the Eastern Conference is. Right now, we have it up to when we look at the wild card, up to the top 5 teams in contention. If you look down the list, other than the Buffalo Sabres, and at this point getting close to the Toronto Maple Leafs, every team is right in this, within a point of contention. But this is not where we expected the Islanders to be this season, and considering that we are 21 games in, yes, it is still early, but that Thanksgiving marker is always very important in the NHL, where we don't see much movement from there. I think there's going to be a lot more movement this season, but the fact the Islanders are right here, 3rd place in the Metro Division, and now you have teams in front of them such as the New Jersey Devils who are suffering with injuries. The Islanders have a real opportunity here to, over the next few games, especially considering they have a homestand, to really cement themselves in the early playoff picture. And while I did think this team was going to be competitive, I did think they were going to be around where some of these other teams are fighting for that wild card. I didn't think the race was going to be as competitive as it is, even at this point. I didn't think it was going to be like this, but I thought the Islanders would be in this race. But the fact that they're on top early on is very exciting. And as we're going to talk about, there are some reasons for me to believe that this is sustainable. Now, there are things the Islanders are absolutely going to have to clean up. The defensive play so far this season has not been good enough. It really has been their one Achilles heel, especially the way they're playing on the right side of their defense. That has to improve. There are some other issues with some forward miscues. The power play still has to improve. It's looked much better, but the production has not come. However, and there are a bunch of advanced analytics that kind of make you question things about the Islanders. But one thing that is not questionable is this is one of the best rush teams in the NHL, which is something we could not say for a very long time. And this is a team that is not going to struggle to score goals. Early on in the season, we were calling it a fun team. At this point, it's not just a fun team, it's a good team that's also fun. And this is definitely going to change the way we look at the Islanders as the season goes on. And for me, this is great because the way they're winning. If they were winning these slow 2-1 games that they've won in the past that were heavily reliant on players like Bo Horvat and Mathew Barzal and Adam Pelech, then I would not be so enthusiastic. But because they're getting scoring from the youth as well, this is awesome for the New York Islanders. Last night, the big scorers were Cal Ritchie and Max Shabanov. Shabanov had 2 beautiful goals in this game, also had an assist on Ritchie's goal. He just drew the defenseman to him and then passed it across. And what I really liked about Shabanov's second goal was the way he was splitting 2 of the best defenders on the Detroit Red Wings. Those were not 2 random players. He split the defense with Sider on the ice. I believe it was Edmondson on the other side, and he went right through. He has confidence. This is a player who I think has a lot of flair to his game, and the question was just, was that part of it going to translate where the NHL is bigger and stronger? And with Shabanov, you're still concerned that he's going to take too many big hits, and the Islanders did a great job defending him. Shout out to Tony DeAngelo for stepping up at the end of the game and fighting to protect Shabanov. That's the one concern with his game at this point, but what's clear to me is the skill is there, and this is a player I'm really excited for moving forward. I'm really excited for the connection between him and Ritchie, and I'm actually going to take back one of my critiques of this lineup. I still don't love that they're technically on the fourth line, but clearly, based on the way that Patrick Waugh deployed these players, he doesn't view them as solely fourth line guys. In fact, I don't think he views this line as a typical fourth line, and you saw that in the minutes they got. When they're producing, these guys are going to play, and I think it's a great way to teach them. In addition, they're also getting time on the second power play unit, which is perfect. Realistically, at some point, you'd probably like to see at least one of them transfer to the first power play unit, because I don't think that unit is working all that well, and there's some other changes I might talk about in a future video that maybe I would make as well. I like Barzal on that unit. He has a good connection with Schaefer. I really like Horvat on that unit, but after those three, I'm really questioning what Palmieri and Drouin are doing on the power play. They've had some good moments here and there. Palmieri just seems to not be able to finish anything on the power play, which is strange because he's been finishing a lot more plays 5-on-5 than he has in the past. Personally, I would maybe consider putting Lee on the in front of the net position in the power play, especially considering I think the reason why Lee was taken off last season was it wasn't really working. The Islanders were not getting shots through the net, and that's where Lee is valuable, when pucks are getting in front. Now that Schaefer is doing such a good job throwing the puck on the net, it definitely makes more sense maybe to have Lee out there so he can tip those pucks. But that's a nitpick. The offense has been really good for this team, in large part due to the contributions from the young players. And yes, Bo Horvat is still delivering the heavy load for this team. Barzal is still doing a lot of heavy lifting. But also, even though it wasn't a big game for him, Heineman has also been producing consistently. He's another young player. I love the mix on this team between the young guns and the veterans. This is a very unique mix, which makes me think perhaps the Islanders have something a little special on this team. And I'm not going to over-exaggerate. Yes, it is still 21 games in. This point with the NHL, it's way too early to call a team a winner because they have a good first 21 games, but you can start to identify losing franchises early on based on their first 21 games. Don't want to throw too much shade here, but Toronto, St. Louis, those are two teams that were supposed to be good based on what we've seen so far. Not so much, and I'm definitely really interested in what's happening on those two teams. But I want to focus right now on another player I think I have to give credit to, and that's Boquist. He didn't play the best game, but it's going to be important for him, or if it's going to be Warren stepping in, to keep on playing consistently on that third pair role. One thing we saw in this Detroit game, on top of that dominant performance, we're also talking about Sorokin at the end of this video because we owe him an apology as a fan base. Even I was getting on him, and I've always been his number one defender. But one thing that's going to be critical for the Islanders moving forward is now with Romanov out for the foreseeable future. And based on the fact the Islanders are getting a second opinion, that is not a good sign. I don't really know too much. I'm not going to comment anything on like medical stuff or anything like that. Typically, though, it's never good when a team's looking for a second opinion on a player's injury. But as a result, for him not playing, I was expecting Schaefer and Pelech to split the additional minutes. It looked like in this game, Schaefer took the brunt of them, playing 25 minutes. And yeah, it is incredible that Schaefer at 18 years old is able to step into an NHL lineup and play 25 minutes in a game where the team did not give up a goal. No, they were not perfect. The defense still needs to work out some kinks, but that is incredibly impressive. And then Pelech is going to have to play more minutes, and that's going to be a big question for the Islanders moving forward. But one thing I just want to focus on for the end of this video is just how well Ilya Sorokin has been playing. We previously made a video this season talking about these money puck analytics. This is ranking goalies based on their goals saved above expected. And the last time we did a video on this, Sorokin had a -3. He was the 54th ranked goalie in the NHL, and we were talking about how the Islanders may have a goaltending problem. Well, since then, because he had -3, he has saved 15 goals above expected because he is now at 12 goals above expected. He is in the top 5 of the NHL, and you look at all the players in this range, these are your Vezina candidates. So For Ilya Sorokin to step up here, it's huge. He's going to be a huge part of this Islanders team if they are going to be successful this season, and it's looking like so far they're off to a really good start just because this defense is not really good enough to have a low event game. There is going to be high event hockey in front of Ilya Sorokin, and while the advanced analytics might not like that, Ilya Sorokin is a goalie who can clearly handle high event hockey. There's going to have to be some medium here. The Islanders are going to have to make it so he's not making all these crazy saves all the time. But what a turnaround for Ilya Sorokin. I never truly doubted him. I was never truly worried. Ilya Sorokin is one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. His save percentage even is now a 9.09, which might not sound, or maybe a 9.06, which might not sound absolutely incredible, but when you consider where it was to start the year, he is absolutely back, bouncing back fast. And Ritchie also deserves a lot of credit. He has also been strong for the Islanders season. But Ilya Sorokin, look here, it's a little early, but especially now that Connor Hellebuyck is going to be injured for the next 6 weeks, and you don't really have any other goal. I mean, Spencer Knight's been incredible. He's a rookie. We'll see what happens there. Logan Thompson, he's been very strong, but he tends to teeter off as the year goes on. This might be a year where Ilya Sorokin has a chance to finally win a Vezina trophy. We'll see what happens, but that's something you got to keep in mind of the way he's playing. In general, this Islanders team is so exciting. I expected a fun year, but looks like the Islanders aren't just flirting with the idea of making the playoffs. It looks like they're really trying to make it, so they're cementing themselves into a position to have success as the year goes on, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments about this Islanders season so far. How optimistic on this team are you? You still have concerns? Are you all aboard the Islanders train? I'd love to know your thoughts. As always, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm your host, Patrick Nilan. Catch you on the next episode of Islanders Digest. Let's go Islanders. Hopefully we are breaking down a win against the St. Louis Blues.